And speaking of the Cleveland Browns, Jimmy Haslam is the owner of the Browns, and he was asked who made the call draft night to take Shedeur Sanders.
We have good process, okay? And if you'd have told me Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. But we had a conversation early that morning, and then we had a conversation later that day. I think we had the right people involved in the conversation. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur.
Okay. Now, it felt, I thought two things when I heard that. If this goes south, you know who to blame. But also, maybe Jimmy Haslam is finally doing the right thing, that you're not a smart football guy. Did you make the call on Deshaun Watson? And if you did, that's why you should turn it over to your football people, because you gave him a completely guaranteed contract there. But this is on Andrew Berry, your GM. He made the call with Shedeur Sanders. Now, I was told differently, but the owner is telling you, because I think that there was a phone call or two made, without getting too specific about this, to nudge Jimmy Haslam to take Shedeur Sanders. And I think that's what happened. But, and look, if they get one of these nobody's talking about Dillon Gabriel, and he was taken before Shedeur Sanders and had a decorated college career, far more decorated than Shedeur. But, you know, there's the possibility that Shedeur Sanders could be the quarterback for them. I don't think if you emerge as the starting quarterback, it's Kenny Pickett, it's a 40-year-old Joe Flacco, and Dillon Gabriel. I mean, it's not exactly Marino and Elway and Jim Kelly. But, you know, it feels like Shedeur Sanders has some obstacles in front of him. That his name helped him, but his name is hurting him a little bit, because we're like, okay, let's see how great you are. And we saw how far he slipped. But the only thing I can go on is my source told me that he's acted mature, aside from the speeding tickets, that when he's on the football field, he's business. It's not, there's no sense of entitlement. I don't know what that means. You know, I don't know how that translates to, can you play on Sunday? I don't know. And when people say, well, you got the Sanders name, he's not an athlete like his dad. He's just not. He's a drop-back pocket passer. He's not going to beat you with his legs. I'm told that he is more athletic than people are giving him credit for. I said, well, the problem is his dad is one of the great athletes who's ever played the game. But by all accounts, it feels like he is ingratiating himself to his teammates, and that's really important. But I just want to know, can you play on Sunday? That's it. And it still feels like Joe Flacco is going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Like, that's the safe pick. That's where I would go, because we're talking about Cam Ward. Is Cam Ward going to be ready for the Titans? He has to be. But Shedeur doesn't have to be ready, or Dillon Gabriel. Kenny Pickett's battling an injury, but it might be Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco might give you a better chance of winning, because you get all that experience. I mean, he's a pocket passer as well. And I'm not sure if they have a game plan, great, because they have 2 first-round picks next year. I want to know how much time they'll give Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders to see if they can actually play starting quarterback in the NFL. Because if you remember, Colin Cowherd had the speculation, I can't say it's a report, that the Browns would maybe bring in Nick Saban and then draft Arch Manning. Well, Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, was talking about Arch Manning.
Well, Tony, you know you're in the business, and you get paid by how many hits you get, okay? And I think if you know the Manning family, I would bet that, and I don't know Arch at all, okay? I bet he stays in college 2 years, so I don't even think that's worth discussing.
Okay. That's the way I feel. Arch Manning is going to play 2 more years. That it's not. So Nick Saban's going to wait 2 more years for Arch Manning, and then you got to make sure you draft him. It just seemed, like a long shot that any of those possibilities could happen. And maybe Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel is his starting quarterback. and you could turn your attention to somebody else. I don't think the Browns are going to be that good. I think the over-under might be 5 wins, 5.5 wins. I think the team to keep an eye on being bad, the Giants. Feels like the Giants season hinges on Malik Neighbors staying healthy. And then there was a report yesterday where he got banged up a little bit. You can't lose him because they got a tough schedule. You're in that division, and you got 3 quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks. Jackson Dart, is he going to play? You got Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. It just feels like – and look at their schedule. Can you pull up their schedule, Paulie? Because the Giants could be like 1-8, maybe – 1-7, something like 2-7 to start out, because it's pretty tough sledding for the Giants right out of the gate.
Yeah, the Giants are at the Commanders, at Dallas, host the Chiefs, host the Chargers, at the Saints, a little break, then Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners.
Yeah.
All better teams.
It's pretty tough. You could know where the Giants stand after around 9 games. And it feels like it's make or break for that coach, maybe the front office there. What happened with Saquon Barkley? You take Jackson Dart. Is he going to play this year? Are they even going to be around to help develop him? But that schedule is pretty tough. I think it's one of the top 5 toughest schedules in the NFL. Yes, Paulie.
And Malik Neighbors for the Giants last year, one of the most targeted rookies in NFL history. He started 13 games, 170 targets. He caught 109 balls for 7 touchdowns.
He's a great player. Great player. But is Rush your starting quarterback? And how long till Jackson Dart? Do you wait until maybe the season is a wash, and then you bring in Jackson Dart, and then you start to see what you have to build for the future? Because it feels like the Giants could be the worst team in the NFL. They're at least in the conversation, and that's not a conversation you want to be involved in. Yeah, Paul.
Going back to Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders started 50 games in college. Dillon Gabriel started 64 games in college. He played 6 college seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys with the COVID years, they put up, big numbers as far as starts. And that's a great sample size. But I haven't heard much about Dillon Gabriel, but part of that is he might be performing better than Shedeur Sanders, but Shedeur Sanders is going to get the coverage. So much so he's getting more coverage than Travis Hunter, who is going to be a legitimate, maybe every down player. Incredible.